All-Star Western number 4, written by Justin Cray and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Moritat. We left off last issue with the end of the arc, as well as this weird sort of half setup for him going after some brothers named Trap. This issue picks up with kind of the Trap thing. First off, we have a present moment of, me, from the viewpoint of Arkham. Arkham's like, me and Jonah are walking through the sewers. How did we get into such a crazy situation? Well, let me tell you, a few days earlier. And then we went back to the Trap Brothers thing, where they all just had like a shootout in the middle of the street. Hex took them all out via a couple like hatchets and stuff like that. And he starts shooting the fingers off of one of them to get some information. And one guy comes out and he's like, now, wait a minute, you can't just torture this man in the street. And he shoots at the guy's feet. And he's like, well, that ain't none of my business. Bye. And he goes back to shooting off fingers. And then this group comes up, led by a man named Thurston Moody. And he's like, excuse me, are you Jonah Hex? And Jonah's like, I'm a little bit busy right now. And he's like, right. But someone has taken my son, and I would like to hire you to find him. And he's like, again, a little busy right now. Also, I don't want to be in Gotham, so buzz off. And he's like, right. I can pay you handsomely, and I'll give you $50,000. And he's like, all right, so you got a picture of your son or what? And we cut back to the present again. Arkham is maneuvering through the the sewer system with Hex. And he's remarking how Hex is a very good detective, and he's very astute, but he always just chalks it up to common sense and things that are obvious. Like, he doesn't see himself as doing anything that incredibly amazing. And then they come across some skulls in their path, and they're like, well, guess we're on the right path. So, cut back to the past again, and Jonah Hex is going to an orphanage. A nun stops him at the door, and is like, oh, can I help you? And he's like, yeah, I want to go talk to a couple of the kids here. He's like, oh, you're scary looking, man. I don't think we're going to let you in. He's like, look, I'm a bounty hunter, and some kids went missing, and I want to see if any of the riffraff here at the orphanage know anything about it. And it's like, yeah, well, we're definitely not letting you in then. But then Arkham apparently was doing some volunteer work there. So he's like, no, I know Jonah. Let him in. What is it this time? And just remarks that there was a boy here who is just completely skin and bones. He's been like worked to death. You just see he looks awful. It's the best I can describe it. He looks absolutely awful. He's both mentally and physically ill, suffers from dysentery. I'm amazed he doesn't have rabies due to all the rat bites. And Jonah's like, I need to talk to him. I need to see where he was from. Because apparently he's the son of like a poor family from just some shanty towns, stuff like that. But in these shanty towns, hundreds of kids over the years have gone missing, and nobody knows who's doing it. All they know is that in the middle of the night, a man in a cloak of black and red with a mask and guns shows up and just takes their kids and rides off. And nobody can say anything about it because they're all just poor people living outside the village. No one cares. And Arkham's like, oh, well, I have some friends up on high places. I'll bring this to their attention. Hex is like, no, keep this quiet so that we can go find them and they don't run off or like kill the kids. And Arkham's like, right, of course. And if we find more children, you'll need me, Hex, because I can give them medical attention. He's like, God, fine, whatever. So we cut back to present. They found this place. It's this giant like steel mill looking place, all underground. They're mining stuff, and it's just all run by kids with a couple of adult like overseers. Hex is going to go around taking out the adults, and he wants Arkham to go around and get the kids out whenever it seems safe. They do just that, but eventually Arkham gets caught by this big lug of a guy, and he's got a full-on Cockney accent in the panel. He's like, oi, what have we here? With a mouse sneaking round where he ought not be. This is a direct quote from how it's written. So anyway, he's like, oh, you couldn't have knocked out. I'm not doing that Cockney accent the whole time. He's like, oh, you couldn't have knocked out all my guys. Who's helping you? And he looks up and he sees Hex, and he's like, oh, you fancy yourself a hero, huh? Well, are you still a hero? And he pulls out like a shotgun and holds it to Arkham's head. You feel like a hero? You think you're faster than a speeding bullet? Let's see what you can do. And that's where we leave off the issue. I like it. I think it's a good change. I'd like... When that last issue ended on the trap thing, just out of nowhere, I was like, okay, it's kind of weird that we're devoting just like 3 pages to this random, like, whatever. And now that we picked up this one and it was just, again, another 3 pages of whatever, you could tell that, like, I don't know, I don't think they had all their ducks in a row yet on what they wanted the next plot to be. And they were like, oh, okay, let's just do something at the end that doesn't matter, and then we can just spin it into whatever does matter. But I like the way that this particular story is going. It's a good way of playing up Jonah's morality while at the same time allowing him to say that it's all still for the money, where he's rescuing kidnapped little children that nobody else would care about. But he's also getting $50,000 for it. So, here or there. Art is fantastic. It always fits the style. It's very well done. No, I think I would give this one a 7. I think it's a very well done issue, and I look forward to more All-Star Western moving forward.